Hello, it's Mrs. Pruitt, and I'm here to give you the information about Edgar Allan Poe that you might have missed due to absences or for whatever reason. So, Edgar Allan Poe was the third poet that we studied in sixth grade language arts. We're really, more than anything, we're focused um, on, the tone, the mood, the figurative language, that kind of stuff. So before we start, the first thing that you have to do is you have to read about Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe is he's one of the most famous American poets and one of the greatest writers of all time. One thing that you'll learn as you read through his biography is that he had an incredibly sad childhood. Both of his parents had passed away by the time he was 3. He had a couple that was from Richmond, Virginia, that they essentially worked as like a foster parent to him, but they never formally adopted him. And one thing that it doesn't say in his biography that I will point out is that he got along really well with his adoptive mother, but him and his foster dad or adoptive dad never saw eye to eye, and it created a lot of problems. He was pretty young when he died. He was only 40 years old. So what you'll do is you'll read his biography. You'll write down 3 facts about his childhood, 3 facts about his adult life, his date of birth, his date of death, places he lived. You'll create 5 words to describe this person and or their life. 5 words or phrases, I should say. And then how is this person remembered? And what you need to make sure that you get for this question especially is, that might be a little big. This person is remembered as one of the greatest American authors. Yeah, I'm going to make that even smaller yet. Or poets. And he is often called the father of the detective mystery. Okay, so then let's read through The Raven. So with The Raven, we're only given the first 4 stanzas. This is actually a considerably longer poem that it builds on each stanza, but each stanza is kind of designed in the same way, which you should see. So the directions say, read the 4 stanzas of The Raven, then go back and analyze each line. If there's end rhyme, write the number in the column. If there's internal rhyme, repetition, or rhythm, put a check mark in the box. Then identify what types of figurative language or literary devices are used. So let's read the full 4 stanzas first. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madame, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I open wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more." So let's answer these questions down here first. What is the setting of the poem? So we look back. We know that it's late at night. We know that it's winter. But where is he at? So when we look at the first stanza, it says, "Over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore." Well, a volume is typically referring to a book, and lore would be a story. So these are old stories. Down here in the second stanza, we have from my book, Surcease of Sorrow, Sorrow for the Lost Lenore. So we again are talking about books. So we can go ahead and infer that this is in a library. So we would say midnight, winter, in the library or den of a house. Okay. What is the subject of the poem? Well, at the base of it is the grief over his love, Lenore. The next question is, what is the tone? Well, clearly it's not a happy tone. So what is the author's attitude? Well, the author's attitude is dark. It's melancholic. It's maybe even a little desperate. Okay. And how are we able to identify the tone? Well, I mean, one thing is just the subject. Okay. So tone in this one is identified through descriptions like bleak December. Okay. Somewhat through dialogue, but it's through descriptions and the subject. Okay. And then what is the mood? So the mood of this poem, I think that we could definitely say it's somber. It's gloomy. It's got a hopeless mood. If you continue to read that, somber is often a word that we use when we're talking about like a funeral, how people are very like sad and turned inward, all that kind of stuff. So mood here is identified through the atmosphere. It's not just the setting, but the atmosphere. So you have words like dying embers, surcease of sorrow. So he's not just sad, but he was looking for surcease of sorrow. He's got forgotten lore. That would be something else that you could add here. It's not just stories, but it's forgotten lore. Okay, so now let's look at each line, and we're just going to really kind of pull apart that first stanza. So, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary. Dreary and weary rhyme, so we've got internal rhyme. Do we have end rhyme? Let's look. Weary, lore, tapping, door, door, more. Nope, weary doesn't rhyme with anything there. Do we have repetition? Nope. Hopefully you do see, though, that we have rhythm. And do we have figurative language? Yes, we do. Weak and weary is alliteration. Over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. So what we've got here is, this is line A. Does it rhyme with the second line? No, it does not. So now we'll call this one line B. Does lore rhyme with tapping? No. Does it rhyme with door? Yes. Does it rhyme with more? Yes. So this would be B, 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 B. Okay. So we do have end rhyme. Do we have repetition or rhythm? No. Do we have alliteration or do we have figurative language? Yes, and we have alliteration again. Quaint and curious here is our alliteration because it's the repetition of the consonant sound, that k sound. Okay, now while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping. Napping, tapping is internal rhyme. Does it have end rhyme? No. Does it have repetition? While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping. No. Does it have rhythm? Yes. Okay. And this one definitely has alliteration as well. As of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. Does it have internal rhyme? No. Does it have end rhyme? Yes. Does it have repetition? Yes. Does it have rhythm? Yes. Does it have figurative language? No. Oh, wait. Yes, it does. Sorry, that's my bad. It has a simile in it. So it's making a comparison with the sound that they were hearing, sounding like someone gently rapping. What you later find out is that it's actually a raven that's tapping on the door, and then it just says, nevermore, nevermore. The next line, it has, "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. It has end rhyme. It has rhythm. Okay, only this and nothing more. The only thing that it's got is end rhyme. Okay, go ahead and try the next stanza on your own. Okay, so that line 7 has internal rhyme and repetition. No, sorry, rhythm, not repetition. Line 8 has end rhyme and personification. Line 9 has internal rhyme and rhythm. Line 10 has end rhyme, repetition, rhythm, and alliteration. Line 11 has end rhyme, rhythm, and alliteration. And line 11 has end rhyme. Okay. Next we have Annabelle Lee. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to go answer questions 1 and 2 on the poetry analysis paper. What does the title tell you? You may be thinking this is a trick question. It's not. It tells you that it's about somebody named Annabelle Lee. And then answer this one. Is the title's intent to tell you about the poem or make you wonder what the poem is about, and explain it? Okay, Annabelle Lee. In this poem, a man tells of his love for a girl named Annabelle Lee. The poem is happy at first, almost like a fairy tale, but sad when the reader learns that Annabelle Lee has died. Then we realize that the man has gone mad when he accuses the angels of killing Annabelle Lee out of jealousy. So here's some vocabulary that comes up in here. Maiden is an unmarried young woman. Seraph is an angelic being, so it's like an angel. Covet is an intense desire to possess or have something. Highborn is born into a family with very high social status. Kinsman is a relative, specifically male, and sepulchre is a small room or monument where a dead person is laid or buried. Stanza 1. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of the cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in the sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. So, here we go. What is the topic of the poem? The topic is the grief of, or maybe instead of the grief, the loss of Annabel Lee when the couple is still young. What is the setting? I think that we can agree that this takes place in the past, near a sea, near a tomb. Who is the speaker? The speaker is a young man who has lost the love of his life, Annabel Lee. Is there imagery? Yeah, you should definitely say yes. Some descriptions that might be what you got imagery from is that the angels were jealous of their love. A chilling wind blew out of the cloud. Her family put her in the tomb. Anything like that. Is there rhyming? Absolutely. Is there internal rhyme? End rhyme? So let's go back up here and let's look. It was many and many a year ago in this kingdom by the sea. Whoops, no, I don't want that. So we've got this one, ago, with no, with, that's it. Then we've got see, Lee, thought, nope, me. Let's see. Child, see, lovely, heaven, me. Child rhymes with nothing. See, that rhymes with Lee, rhymes with me. Okay, heaven and love don't rhyme, and then it continues like that. As far as end rhyme, or internal rhyme, we've got chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. Down here, the moon never beams and dreams. Rise and eyes. Tide and side. Okay, so those are all internal rhyme and end rhyme. So go ahead and answer those two questions. Pause it if you need to. Then we've got hyperbole, a love that the winged seraphs coveted, assonance, rise, bright. There's two other kinds of figurative language. Pause. We have personification. The cloud can't kill anybody. Okay. And we have alliteration. Half so happy in heaven. So what is the topic? It's still the loss of a loved one. What is the author's attitude? I think you could say it's wistful then depressing. Is the mood the same? Yes. The mood is also very somber and is set by the atmosphere. So now we go back to the front page. Name two famous poems that Edgar Allan Poe wrote. Well, he wrote The Raven and he wrote Annabel Lee. What types of figurative language and other literary devices does he use? He uses alliteration. He uses personification. He uses hyperbole. He uses simile. He uses assonance. What is his style of writing like? Well, it's quite dark. It's quite sad. We call it Gothic horror. Okay, and he uses rhythm, rhyme, and repetition throughout his poetry. What is unique about his writing? What isn't unique about Edgar Allan Poe's writing? So one thing that's unique is he's considered to be the father of Gothic horror. So he kind of is where the starting point is for that whole genre. He's very dark, but in a playful manner with the use of rhythm and rhyme. Okay. And finally, his poetry is typically he typically writes in first person narrative. Okay. And the last thing here is to go down through the voices and you decide, is he serious, absurd? I think that you could say he's serious and he's a bit absurd. Is he angry or delightful? I think he's mostly angry. Exciting or boring? I think you could say exciting. He seems to be pretty flowery. He's definitely sad. He's definitely scary. He uses old-fashioned language and he's mysterious. Okay, make sure that you get your packet turned in when you're done with it.